now, I believe.
All right.
I'm gonna wait till this shows up on my screen. I hope I don't cut you off like I've done many guests.
No, I think you're okay so far.
All right, hold up. I can hear us. All right. You still hear me?
Hmm.
All right. We are definitely live. Boom. Hello, 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 hello.
Hi.
Hey, I've told you I've done that to everybody. Hold up. Why isn't my screen on? Start video. Here we go. I've done that to everybody. I clicked. I've all right. I should be live stream. I'm gonna check my YouTube channel real quick. You see me, you hear me, right?
Yeah.
So we got Anya Lena Overmann in the building right now. I'm about to check my YouTube channel, make sure that it's streaming live right now. I always click on the wrong thing. And so yeah, I've done that to every YouTube channel. There we go. You see me, you hear me, right? All right. Anyways, we're there we go. So anyway, nice to meet you. Nice to see you in person. You've been on we've been communicating through via Facebook. I've reached out to you a while ago. I don't know how long ago. I don't know how long ago that was, but I find you very interesting. I think it was because of you were like a suggestive friend or whatnot through an atheist group, a humanist group. I'm on all kinds of platforms dealing mainly with anti-racism, but also with anti-religion or humanist or yeah, secularism and atheism and all kinds of isms and history and anthropology and linguistics at some other side that I don't post as much, but I'm dealing with those type of people as well.
Hmm.
I even interviewed a hometown friend that I didn't know he was into linguistics. He came all the way from being a jailbird all the way to a professor of linguistics. So, and that's even included. He got tapped to be one of the people to give some influence on the new Oxford Dictionary when it comes to Ebonics in African American vernacular AAVE English.
Hmm.
So I've been all over the place. Um, but you are definitely interesting. I saw that you are a writer, a
Hmm.
nomad, activist, marketer, digital nomad. Um, and you talk about ethical societies. You talk about this vaccine and yeah, the pandemic in many different ways. I would like you to get into that. You were a former president of Young Humanist International Group, the board of American Ethical Union. You can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm saying something wrong. You can add
You're
to
all
this.
correct so far.
Right, the American Humanist Association, and you work with the Atheists United. That's where you're and you produce the podcast, the Nomadic Humanist, which you started not too long ago. Am I correct?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right,
Yep.
and
All
then that
correct.
right because you don't have a YouTube channel because I was looking for it at one point in time. No, so you
I
kind
don't
of
know.
nah, not currently. So your as far as YouTube, your podcast are put on published through Atheist United, correct?
Yeah,
Uh,
they sponsor the podcast.
Okay,
I work with a lot of other members to put that together,
right,
and then pushed out on
right,
all the platforms where podcasts are.
right. And so let's start out with you. What is your how old are you, by the way?
I'm 29. Actually, I'll be 30 in a couple months.
Okay,
So
okay. And
hitting that
what?
triple decade.
Right. I thought you was a lot younger than that actually, but you look young. That's good.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you.
what is your background? Your ethical, not your ethical, excuse me, your ethnic, or I wouldn't say racial because you appear white to us, but what is your background? Are you Canadian or
Um,
are you American?
no, I'm from the US. I grew
Okay,
up in St. Louis, Missouri.
got
Not
you.
too far from where you grew up, right? You're from Oklahoma?
Right, Midwestern. Yeah,
Yeah. So I grew up there. I have largely Northern European descent, a lot of Irish,
right.
a lot of German, some Polish, some English, mostly
Right.
that that brand of European. So
Okay.
very
Okay.
white appearing and also very white ancestry.
Right. And have you grown up because you're known in the atheist or the humanist space? Um and I guess I would like for you if you can talk about that, and you talk a lot about ethical societies and things like that, if you can get into the humanist and ethical. And also eventually I would like you to, because I noticed that you had certain posts about you were also, you know, you criticize certain things. You're pretty critical against humanists as well, and I would like you to kind of get into that at some point. But could you talk about your, as far as religious and background, how you grew up,
Sure.
or you always were you always a humanist, or consider yourself a humanist or atheist or
Um,
agnostic? Because I don't even know that yet. So
yeah, I mean, I guess
I'm learning, guys, as we go. So I haven't done that much research on her. So we're learning together. I still find you interesting. I still want to interview you because I needed to get a couple of bloggers on my because I got a bunch of kind of a few big names, and I want to get some bloggers that I think that are doing things out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can start with, kind of my background. I mean, I was raised by two atheist parents who had decided to become atheists before they met each other. They were both raised Catholic and, both independently before even meeting one another decided, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. And then, they got married and they were without children for a while, so they were just kind of chilling, like cruising
Right.
along without religion, all
Right.
good. And then they had me and my brother, and they realized like, oh, you
Did they grow
know
did they grow up religious, your parents?
they did, yeah, they both grew
Okay.
up Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they realized that while we could be raised atheists, it would be a benefit to us to learn about the other religions,
Right.
because the sign of the cross is everywhere, and it's such a significant cultural symbol that it would be weird if we didn't learn what that was.
Absolutely.
So they started looking into different religious education programs and communities and that sort of thing, and they ended up finding the Ethical Society of St. Louis, which
Uh-huh.
ended up growing up. And the way that I described it to people as a kid is that it's like a church without the religion. And I mean, it kind of was. I mean, we showed up every Sunday. There was a service. Instead of there being like a
Pretty
pastor or a preacher
pretty
standing in front of.
pretty pretty
Sorry.
s- pretty similar to like the Universalists, right? Or
Yeah,
the, what
there's
do
a
they
lot
call
of
them?
overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Unitarians.
Unitarian,
Yeah.
excuse me. Yeah, because I was in before I moved to Norway, I lived in Miami, and
Mm.
I remember visiting a Unitarian church, and it reminds me, it sounds similar, even a little bit, like you said, overlap, even like a little, not Buddhist, but kind of
Yeah,
sort of.
they're interesting because we
Yeah.
do have so much overlap to the point that we've actually exchanged leadership with them before. We've had,
Right.
certified leaders from their programming come over and act as leaders in our movement. So there is a lot of similarities. The main difference is that it is not, I mean, ethical culture explicitly says, we're not any religion. This is very much the phrase is deed before creed, or deed above creed. So meaning, whatever you do is infinitely more important
More
than
important.
what you believe.
Right.
So at the end of the day, everybody's welcome, but it's the values that we share that are ultimately what are most important, and that's ethical culture. So that's what I grew up in, and yeah, every Sunday I was going to Sunday school, but instead of learning the Bible or anything like that, I was learning about ethics and morality, and learning about the different religions. I got kind of a comprehensive religious education rather than an indoctrinated version. So that was really, really cool. And
as
then
I'm looking down, I'm listening to you. I'm trying to see if I could put this live stream on the Facebook, but go ahead. I'm listening. Trust me. I'm just letting you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But that's kind of what springboarded me into leadership on a larger scale within humanism. So I got more nationally involved when I graduated from high school. I was involved with the youth section of the American Ethical Union called Future of Ethical Societies. We did some very light organizing, not very consistent over the years, but every once in a while we've gotten together and we've done cool stuff. Like we did a week-long service project in New Orleans doing urban farming.
New Orleans. I got family from that region on my mother's side of the family. So that's yeah. But how old were you around that time frame?
I think I was 21 or 22 when I started doing that stuff specifically. I think I just left college. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then after that, I got connected in to the international humanist movement, and that's when I really started working more with Humanist International and doing a lot of networking with people internationally, and really kind of expanding my circle out. So that's kind of the from childhood to now summarized version of it all.
Right. Now, before you get into that, did you ever consider yourself as a Christian?
Nope,
yourself?
not at any point. I was raised with the option to choose whatever I like, so that was pretty awesome. But I didn't.
So you don't have a deconversion story or yeah. So you always kind of had the choice growing up in your environment with whether to kind of religion was never really pushed on you. So that's a beautiful thing.
No deconversion story at all.
Okay, cool. So you were never pressured. I guess the most pressure that you've gotten in your life was through not necessarily your parents, your immediate nuclear family, but your environment in a way that you felt like. I mean, did you feel like you had any pressure growing up when it comes to religion? Because me and you totally grew up differently.
Yeah, I mean, so all my friends were religious, or
because Oklahoma's the Bible Belt, so you got
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at the very. I grew up at the crest of the Bible Belt, so I'm very familiar with that as well.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, all my friends were religious growing up, and I think I was just so firm about my lack of belief that they didn't really ever push it on me. And it was just kind of accepted,
and you never felt that you were like not left out, but that you felt like there was something that was missing that you've seen. Because it can also go the other way where people are like, oh, they have something over there that they have some cohesiveness over here, or something that I lack, or something like that, where you kind of looked into it. So you never had that feeling. I'm just curious about that.
I mean, so I went to some of my friends' churches just to see what it was like, and I got nothing out of it. I mean, I sat there and I was like, all right, this is pretty much what I expected it was going to be. But, you shouldn't really knock it until you try it, right? Like if there was something where I was sitting there and I was like, okay, I kind of get it. Like maybe there's something about church that I'm missing. But no, there was nothing that I was missing. So I really felt pretty good about that decision after that.
Nice. No, because I'm always I'm interested in people that because I grew up with my mother. She's passed away, but she was a staunch Christian, and definitely it was a definitely different household growing up. So I always wondered how it would be if I kind of grew up with freedom of choice in a way. How I haven't ran into too many of those people, to be honest with you personally. And so I always wondered how that kind of was for you. But now I recall that somewhere, I don't know if you posted this at one point in time or we had a short conversation about it, but you have lived in Norway or visited Norway at some point in
I
time?
visited. I was there for like 2 or 3 days. I wasn't there very long, so I
Okay.
haven't spent time living there, but definitely
Okay.
visited once.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And it was you also met other humanists while you were out here, correct? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
the Norwegian humanist group there, I connected with them, and I mean they hosted a Humanist International event, and that's what
yeah.
actually that was
Okay.
my first experience with Humanist International was in Norway.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you made some connections or whatnot. Did you notice any type of differences or I don't know, did you notice anything kind of,
Oh, for
I don't,
sure. Yeah. I mean, well,
yeah?
first of all,
Not
Norwegians,
just culturally, you know what I mean? Like of course the country, but I'm talking
yeah.
about go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, the whole structure, the whole humanist structure in Norway is like well funded because it's based on the population and
Mm,
how many people how many people identify as a certain
mm,
thing, right?
mm,
And the
mm,
majority, or there is a giant majority of
mm.
non-religious people where they end up getting that money as a humanist organization, which is fantastic. I mean, that's great, but it's also something that is just unheard of basically everywhere else. I mean, that it's amazing.
Or even like
So
a lot of
having
people
that
that
funding,
mm, or like even
having
a
that
lot of
funding,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, having that funding is really important for building strong organizations with lots of like important, valuable programming that brings people in and can help scale the organization. So, I mean, that immediately was different to me. I was like, wow, they have some money.
Right. No, even I noticed out here when it comes to, although the reporting of Christians, because they have a kind of Christian tradition, culture, Lutheran church, although you have a high amount of reporting of ethnic Norwegians being Christian, but in reality, you don't really see them practice it so much as more of a traditional thing. It seems like,
Yeah.
and of course, it's more open and this democratic socialist society out here. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, the funding for sure, and I guess the mentality as well. I definitely
Yeah, I
noticed a
mean,
big.
it's a more secular culture in
Right.
general. I mean,
Yeah,
there's just more, I mean,
right.
like institutionally, right? I mean, the way
Yeah,
that things are structured there, it's just completely different. Something we couldn't achieve in the US, and it would take us a long time to get
right,
to what
right,
they're doing. So, I mean, that is pretty, that stands out. I mean, for
right,
me, when I went
right,
there, that was
right,
really like, wow, this is what
right,
it could look like, you know?
right. Yeah, I thought you had lived here for a certain amount of time. So I was like, what? I was like, okay. But now I found out. No, but you consider yourself a nomad. You
Hmm.
travel, a lot. Definitely more of a world traveler than I am, although I travel quite a bit, some by force. When I was a kid, my father was in the military and some by choice, but
Mm.
you've been to a part of the country in South America which I hope to go visit. Um, where have I've been to Costa Rica, but that's central. And I also have roots in Guyana through my grandfather, and I haven't been there yet.
Oh,
Yeah, my grandfather,
cool.
my father's father, my grandfather is from George. He was born in Georgetown, Guyana, and so
Oh.
I want to visit that. Yeah, it's all kind of crazy. Yeah. So anyway, but so how long? So you reside in Peru and currently in Colombia, or What's
So I currently don't really reside anywhere. I mean, I do technically have a
a
residence.
true nomad, a
It's
true nomad.
Yeah, I don't have like a home base.
Right.
I do I guess for technical purposes, I do have a residence. It's in St. Louis.
Okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
I
Gotcha.
need to
Gotcha.
you know, my taxes somehow, and
I got you. I got you.
I want to be able to vote. So that's technically my residence, but I haven't been back in, I don't know, a year and a half or more than that. So
Right.
yeah, I'm pretty truly nomadic. But yeah, I'm in
Right.
Colombia at the moment,
Right.
in
Right. Right.
Medellin. I've been spending a lot of time in Latin America because I really enjoy it, and my Spanish
Right.
is getting better. So, you know,
Nice.
that's part of the
Nice.
reason I want to stick around, is I want to get even
Right.
better. And
Right. Right.
there's a lot of interesting culture that can be absorbed when you're better versed with the language, you know.
Right, right. And so like I said, I find you interesting because you have this no you have this, you call yourself the nomadic humanist. So you kind of are still in those spaces, into the humanist thing and also this nomadic thing, and how do you how do you go about that? I know it's kind of tough moving around all the time to really be fully engaged and eh, and when it comes to production of certain things. But I have seen that you produce you have some episodes out, the nomadic humanist. You also have your own website, correct? Anya Overman, or
Mhm.
anyaoverman.com, and then
That's it, yeah.
the nomadichumanist.com, and there they
Hmm.
can, where other platforms they can, I guess, on all the other Spotify, all those other platforms, the nomadic
Yeah.
humanist, they can catch you on, yeah, on some
Yeah,
of your,
Spotify,
right,
Apple Music, Stitcher, you know,
right,
all
right.
the places.
Right, right. And you try to really what is the main thing that you are trying to advocate now? I see that you have been, what are your, like, your last episode 4 and 5? I haven't caught that, but you're talking about ethical societies, or were you into this? Can you get into the theme of was it you were talking about uh, what's your position on the vaccination and anti-vax? Let's start there. I know you have a lot to say when it comes to that. Or oh,
Yeah, well, I'm staunchly pro-vax.
right, right.
I really strongly believe, though, that it is just a piece of measures that we can use to mitigate spread of any sort of viral infection.
Right, right.
It's not the whole solution. So that is something that I try to make clear when I am in my advocacy space for COVID and for disability rights, which is really my main drive for
Okay.
the reasons why I talk about the pandemic is so much, because I mean it's a mass disabling event. I mean, it's left
True.
people that were really healthy just completely
Mm,
fatigued and like
right,
incapable of doing what they were doing before in a way that is
mm,
just not really addressed.
right,
It's starting to be studied a little bit more, more diligently. But again, I mean, long COVID, it's like it's a
mm,
long period, and it requires a lot of, you know, time to pass for us to understand what's really going on.
right,
So that's my main driver in this advocacy work, is I just don't want to see people get sick and disabled, and
right,
we just don't know everything yet. We're still waiting on information
right,
and testing, really understand what's going on. So
right, right,
that's
right.
that in a nutshell.
Okay. No, I'm gonna be real. You're interesting because I didn't know what angle to come at you with, because at first I thought you were more with this she's humanist and atheist, so anti-religion. But then you were like, nah, I've been humanist, for a long time. I grew up with, you know, so I didn't realize that, and so and then you're like, I hear you talking about the vaccination thing and all other things, you know what I'm saying? And then being a nomad and all these other things, you know. And so I was kind of thrown off a bit. And so I was like, okay.
Yeah, I have a
I
lot
was
of
I
thoughts
guess
and
I
opinions.
was trying to
So.
pigeonhole you a little bit. And I was like, so I can get something to talk about, make it easier for me. But you're like all over the place too. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, so which is cool. That's how humans are. We're complex. So where was I going to go with that? It was something else that well, since I got you on here, when when you talk about far as overlap and stuff like that. Now, when people talk about humanists, oh, there's one other subject I'm going to talk to you about before we end this thing.
Okay.
I wouldn't be the real Nordic Black if I if I wouldn't get into it. And I'll give you a hint with the memes, the cop memes thing. But we'll talk about that.
Mm.
Yeah. So anyway, um, yeah, the humanist and secularist and atheist agnostic. Do you? I know because I know what they say. Humanist is not a being a humanist is not an actual ideology, right? It's a way of life, correct? And well, okay, I got ADD, so I'm all over the place. So, uh, I remember you made a post at some point about disliking certain humanists or humanism because of the lack of or because their focus is on solely humans and not animals and things like that. But when I've
Yeah.
right. But I mean
I mean, I can get into that and get into kind of the difference between all of those. I mean, they're
okay.
all the
You don't have to
semantic differences and
yeah, you don't have to get that deep, but just very topically, very short. But in you would know more than I would. But I mean, I know me. Like every time I had experience with a humanist, I always I've I don't know. It never dawned on me. I never really thought about it, so much. But I never thought that they would you know, not necessarily not really care about the animals or anything like that, animal life or plant life or any other life. I just, I don't know. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
sure. So atheists really, I mean, that I see as a stepping stone to humanism, to something else. But for me, it's just it's just saying you don't believe in
Somebody in
God.
God. Right. Period.
I
Right.
mean, that can mean anything. That can go with any sort of morality system. It doesn't mean that you have to have, good morals
I
or
agree.
bad morals.
I agree.
It's just, you just don't believe in God. That's it. And
Mm.
agnostic, I mean, it's a similar thing, but instead of, being sure that there's no God, you're not sure, but really leaning on the side of probably not. And again,
Right.
that just describes your, belief on the spectrum. It doesn't describe your value system.
Right. Yeah.
Humanism, to me, does do that. It does describe the values by which people who don't claim a religion want to live by. That's part of the reason, I've been very sold on it for, most of my life. So I think the thing you've been referring to, though, with the animals is that I wrote a piece about sentientism, which
Yeah.
is a movement that is attempting
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
essentially take.
Tell us about that big word. Go ahead.
Yes, sentientism. I mean, basically, it's humanism plus including animals. So treating animals, with being more explicit about the way that we treat animals well. Which, like on the surface, that sounds great. I mean,
Right.
why not include animals? That article that I wrote was the result of me diving deeper into sentientism to try and understand, okay, what is it about this? And like, who is behind all of this? And what is this movement? And what I realized is that this movement is a largely white, European and North American driven movement.
Huh?
And something about it really felt off to me.
Huh?
And when I dug down deeper into it, I realized, oh, first of all, they support Richard Dawkins, who is a problematic figure in the atheist community. And there's some criticism out there that's already existing about sentientum and how the people within it have kind of resolved to this thinking that all humans are already equal. So now we're moving on to animals to then include them. And that's not really what's happening, you know? So it's kind of a, let's move on from human problems and include animals. And like, you know, there's something to be said for, you know, it doesn't have to be this perfect, like we fix human problems
What?
and then we move on to another species.
Well,
Like,
well, shit. What are
you
they going? What
know,
are they going to do about AIs?
yeah, that too. So, I mean, but there's just a lot of I think there's a lot of turning a blind eye to issues that really do need more support and attention, like issues of race, like issues of white supremacy related things. So that's why it started to feel off to me, is because it felt like these people were just like, yeah, but animals though. And it's like, okay, but you see how like lifting up animal rights and not also uplifting, you know, the rights of people of color kind of looks cringy, right? Like it's something is off about that, right?
Right.
So that's why I wrote that piece that was criticizing. I was like, you know, I'm all for like supporting animal rights, but
Right.
like it doesn't need to be at the expense of
Right.
human rights. Like it should be a
Right.
yes and situation instead of a like, okay, that's already taken care of, because it's not taken care of.
Right.
We need more support with that. So yeah,
Right.
that's kind of that in a nutshell. That and you
And
did
I and
ask
I
me earlier.
and I love that. Remember that though, and I do love that you've written. You know, you criticize that because some people in the atheist space believe act like we always talk about religion and things like that, you know, but when it comes to humanism and atheism, secularism, whatever, you don't see too many people even critiquing those spaces. And
Totally.
I like that you did that also. That's why I like Mandisa Thomas, who I interviewed before in the past, uh, when she's has posted something about, you know, looking at racism in the humanist space, and I'm sure you probably heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, man,
But
Lisa's awesome.
yeah. But do you remember that point when I cut you off? No, you said I was,
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah,
You'd asked me earlier about my, so I think you referenced me criticizing humanism, which I also have done. And
yeah,
part of that has stemmed out of what happened last year. And the reason that I was removed from Humanist International. So if you want me to get into that,
yeah. Sure. Yeah,
it's a little controversial, but I'm
go ahead,
happy to talk
go ahead.
about
You
it.
know, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that
Yeah,
stuff.
so
Yeah.
so last June, I was in Scotland. We had Humanist International General Assembly scheduled there like the first weekend of June.
Okay.
And I was there like a month leading up to it. And while I was there and getting some more details about the event, I came to find out that there were going to be no COVID protections at all. And
No.
this really
What? No.
bothered
What? No. What protections? You cut off.
me.
Right. COVID.
COVID.
Got you.
So like no mask requirements, no
Got you.
vaccine requirements.
Got you. Uh-oh.
It was very
No, knowing you
very
now?
much
Uh-oh. Now that I know
very
you
much
more?
going,
Yeah,
yeah. It was very much going the approach of, oh, that's
yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And the reason why I ended up pushing back really hard on that is
Mm,
because we had put out a statement in 2021
mm.
about COVID as an organization.
Yeah.
And in this statement, we essentially, you know, reiterated that we as an organization, as a humanist organization, really stand for public health and doing what's right for, you know, the masses and, you know, equal vaccine access and all these other things that I thought were really great.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like really kind of shocked and jarred that they didn't want to do anything in their own event to like put their policies into action. So when I pushed back, they said, oh yeah, we'll send out an email. And then they sent out this like really like weak email basically saying like, you know, like, oh, you know, like wear a mask if you feel uncomfortable and like wash your hands or whatever. I was like,
Mm,
that's not enough. I mean,
mm.
this like, you have to understand, this was an international event where people from all over the world were coming for a weekend, like really quick stint. So it's like international flight from all over the place, mingling for a weekend, and then everybody disperses. So it was a high risk event. So I was really concerned. I attempted to push back using my role on the board for Humanist International. That was not welcomed or accepted very well. And I was making some other criticisms as well during the event about the way that white privilege was being presented during one of the panels. So,
right.
you know, I really feel strongly about this stuff. And if I'm in a position of power and I'm a white woman, I feel really obligated to speak up during those instances, especially in organizations that are like majority white. So, so that was kind of why I ended up in a scenario where they were very disinterested in having me around anymore. So after that weekend, I had got reelected that weekend, by the way. I had an 87% support from the General Assembly in my reelection. And then we found out that there was a COVID outbreak as a result of that event, as I warned. So, you know, I contacted the leadership and I was hey, like, we really need to let everyone know as soon as possible. They dragged their feet. They didn't do it in time. So I contacted as many people as I possibly could and put it out there on my own social media that, you know, there was a COVID spreading event. And if you were there this weekend, you should probably get tested. And again, so all this stuff kind of piled up. They really didn't like it. So 5 days after my reelection, when I was on an airplane from London to Los Angeles, they removed me during a secret emergency meeting. So I got off the plane and got the news on my phone and was just absolutely devastated. I mean, that was a very important organization in my life. So I was really, I mean, it hurt. It was painful. So yeah, so that's kind of what happened with that organization and how I had a very large falling out with them. But in the process, you know, I've moved more into what I feel is more authentically me and a representation of the kind of humanism that I want to live. And I think that whole event was a very, like, I mean, it was kind of what just people refer to as like a crisis of faith. I mean, I really believed that humanists who claim these values wanted to practice them in real life, you know, in their everyday life. So it was a really like strong, I guess, like slap in the face with reality to have that demonstrated that no, just because someone says they're humanist doesn't mean they practice humanist values. Many people ride on the coattails of others who practice those values, but don't actually practice them themselves.
Real talk.
So, yeah.
Right. I'm just
and
seeing.
People do that with everything, right? Like they do that with Christianity, like Islam, like everything.
Even in the space that I'm in with this anti-racism thing, I can go on a whole bunch of things that we talk about and debate. I'm looking in the live chat. Somebody said, you can be an agnostic atheist or a positive atheist, right? You agree?
I don't know what a positive atheist is, but yeah, you can be an agnostic atheist. There's all sorts of, like, I personally am not super caught up in those semantics, because to me, that's just like, you're talking about like increments on a spectrum of belief. And for me, I'm more interested in talking about values than belief. So sure, I mean, be whatever you want to be. Like, it's cool with me. I just want to talk values.
Good. Yeah. That's what I realized with you later as I went on, because like I said, I thought you was more on that other side of the spectrum. So yeah, I was caught off guard myself. The next comment: I am not a fan of Dawkins. I guess that was when you had mentioned Dawkins. Evan White: did they mean positive? Hold up. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna go down in order some of the things in the live chat so we can comment on it or not. I am not a fan of Dawkins. Protecting yourself from viruses is always a good idea. Most definitely.
Totally.
Or anti-maskers. They put that question mark. I guess it was when we were chatting about it. Did they mean positive atheist? A positive atheist is one who makes a positive assertion that a god or gods don't exist.
A positive assertion.
Yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not entirely clear on what that means. I might have to do
Right,
some research after this because
right,
I've not
right,
heard
right,
that term
right.
before.
I haven't either. I haven't either. Um, okay, let me make sure that so I can look. Yeah, guys, whoever's looking, you can ask whatever questions you want. Um, yeah, let me see. Yeah. No, what else was there? I was gonna get into the subject. I don't wanna we got a little bit of time left, but you also work with the a bunch of humanist groups, Humanist Canada that you work with, correct?
Yeah, I do. I have a meeting with them actually, a
Oh, okay.
virtual coffee thing with
Okay.
them
Oh,
in
okay.
like an
Okay.
hour and some
Okay.
change. I
Okay.
mostly work with the American Ethical Union, which is the national organization of
Can you get
ethical
into, yeah,
societies.
okay, can you get into that? I personally think you should be a lot more popular than you are. Some people say I should be, but nah, I don't think so. I think you're one of the people that I do believe should be more popular than you are as far as social media space, for sure.
Well, thank you.
I think probably, you know, several different factors. I don't know. One probably like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you've been traveling so much you haven't have enough time to put up enough content. I don't know, but I truly believe that you're one of the few people. There's a few other people that I think, but you're one of them. I think you should be way more popular than you are. I see the potential in you, girl. That's why I reached out to you
Oh, thank you.
early before you blow up and act like you don't know act like you don't know nobody. Before you get into that, the ethical thing, somebody put, I stick with agnostic since a proof or disproof of a god is unfalsifiable.
Yeah, unfalsifiable. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
I
that's
stick with
if
agnostic
push
since
comes to
the
shove, I'll
right.
call myself an agnostic too
Yeah, yeah.
because yeah, you
I've
can't prove it.
yeah,
But again, like I don't really care.
I've done that. Yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
we could do that for we could have this,
Right,
there
yeah.
could be lifelong research on whether or not there's a God and we'll never find out. So I just
Oh, the same person asking all these things. He says, "Hey, Rob G, found you from the Afro Atheist." Okay, that's what's up. That's why I was like, yo, where do I remember this person from Afro Atheist? You know Afro Atheist, right?
yeah.
She yeah, then yeah, for sure, for sure. The Nigerian girl living in London. Most definitely. I appreciate you. Keep him coming. Keep him coming. But do you know Anya though, right? You know Afro Atheist? You need to know Anya right now, the lady I'm interviewing. For real. She's gonna blow up. Seriously. Once she taps into her potential, she's really gonna blow up. She's out there networking though right now and traveling the world. Let me see. How would you define someone who follows a humanist ideology? That's a question. Evan White. How would you define someone who
Like
follows?
in a oh, as in terms of values. Okay, I think I understand the question.
Yeah,
So the
you can
humanist life stance.
actually click on the. Do you have? Can you go to my YouTube channel and then you can click on them and are you able
I think
to
so. Hold
go
on a
to,
sec.
yeah, the real Nordic Black, and you can actually click on it too. Does Anya have a white channel? What do you mean white channel? She is white. What are
A
you talking
white channel.
about? No, maybe no YouTube
Oh,
channel. I'm
YouTube
messing.
channel.
I'm messing with you.
I
No.
totally read it as white
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. I did. You know what I'm saying? Cause yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we talked about that. She does not have. I'm gonna let her talk. I don't, because I've been cutting people off. I'm famous for that on my channel. I'm gonna let her talk, but we have spoken about it. She doesn't have a YouTube channel yet. She's gonna get a YouTube channel soon after this,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah, I mean, so I think some of my
Whenever she has time.
resistance is that I'm not a big video person, which I need
You
to be.
should
I know,
be.
I know
You
I
should
do.
be. You're
I
not. It's
know.
not. You should be. You
I
know
mean, I'm
that.
a writer, so my
But
preferred means of communication is written, but I
you should.
understand.
You
Like
you
I
you
need to get into
should be.
video.
You should be. I can tell. I would tell you if. Yeah. Trust me. You should be. Yeah. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You are you there? Can you see the comments or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, YouTube. Evan White, how would you define someone who follows a humanist ideology? Hmm.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think this is a question of values. And the
Right.
humanist life stance really focuses on science and rationality, and a lot of the things that atheists also value. They
Right.
actually state them explicitly. And there's a a lot of human rights values as well, which is part of the reason why that appeals to me so much more than atheist communities, because that tends to be kind of lacking in atheist communities. I mean, that's the reason why there's so much divisiveness over people like Richard Dawkins, because that man does not make that much of an effort to
Hmm.
include human rights as part of his advocacy. It's very, credit to where credit is due. The man has done a lot in terms of atheist thinking and helping people, deconvert. But
Hmm.
where his limitations lie are within his knowledge of human rights, and frankly stepping back when he doesn't have enough knowledge and letting other people speak. He likes to be, he likes to be an expert. And I think that, years of being an expert has made him kind of build up an ego. So, when
Like
that whole,
most, right?
like, yeah, like when that whole like Twitter debacle went down, which led to the American Humanists withdrawing the award they'd previously given him, all these people were saying, like, why didn't you like let a transgender person speak to transgender issues instead of speaking for them? Like, there were other ways to go about this that
Right.
couldn't have
Right.
resulted in such like harsh
Right.
consequences. Like, there were other ways to do this. So
And there's a
yeah.
lot and there's a lot more people than Richard Dawkins, Robert Price,
Yeah.
and even some of the YouTubers that are still
Yeah.
trying to interviewing him because they got big followings and still want him around. Which anyway, I won't get into that. Some of the big YouTubers right now, some of them are pulling back what they said they wouldn't associate with this so-called alleged racist Robert Price, but they're starting to interview him again to get some of those views back. Some of them said it, I believe, just so that the rest of the YouTubers can get away from him, and then they jumped on him to have some exclusive. Yeah, it's a little strange, but whatever.
Yeah, and
So
I figure like a lot of that is just kind of, hopping on the exposure train, and like,
which is so,
he's gonna say something.
which is so funny, which I've mentioned and exposed, if and or reiterated that the same so-called alleged racist atheist Robert Price, his first podcast interview was by a black guy, and we both know
Oh
Richard.
yeah,
What's his name? Richard Finley?
Richard Richard Dawkins.
No. Well, I'm talking about Robert Price, the
Oh right,
atheist.
sorry.
Yeah, he's he's Robert. You heard of Robert Price, right? Or
I have, yeah.
yeah, he's kind of known in the mythicist world, the atheist world, on like Myth Vision podcast, History Valley, and some and Agnostic Informant. That whole group or whatever really put a lot of his videos out, and he had mentioned something about something kind of racist or whatever, and then they kind of shunned him for a while, and then one of the guys kind of reneged on it and interviewed him, and then but I thought it was all funny because even on his own YouTube channel himself, he said this was his first actual podcast was a black guy, African American guy that I interviewed. Actually, he was the first one who actually interviewed the guy. Anyway, so I find a lot of stuff funny in life, when it comes to anyway, we've been doing this shit for a long time, to be honest. Interviewing
Yeah.
authors and atheists and scholars and shit like that. I, before I even noticed any of these major the so-called mainstream atheist YouTubers. Uh, but anyway, yeah. So is there? Yeah. So you do a lot of writing. What do you, how do you do a lot of writing and marketing and things on that front
That's
now?
my, I guess, day job. I
Okay,
work for myself. That's part of the reason I can be a digital nomad, and I have the, the
got you.
privilege and the
I
flexibility
was
that I
curious.
do.
Yeah, I was curious about that because yeah, I was gonna yeah actually talk to you about that. But the okay, so
Mhm.
do you mainly write what? Not like
Yeah, so I do
scripts or yeah.
no, but I have done some like call center scripts for some clients before.
Okay.
The writing that I do mostly is for businesses, so a lot of website writing, email content, blog content. Like I
Okay.
said, sometimes call scripts, just depending on need.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, so a lot of that is for businesses, and then I also do ghostwriting for books for authors that are interested in being published,
Okay.
and editing. So I do it's a very wide spectrum of writing that my that I cover.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
pretty interesting, just because it's very different kind of writing. I mean, marketing writing is very intentional, and I mean, not that writing a book isn't, it's just different writing
Right.
and different audiences, and you have to be very considerate of those things. And yeah, I enjoy writing, so I do a lot of it.
Mm. Someone says, thanks for explaining. Were they saying he was racist because of his association with H.P. Lovecraft, Lovecraft, or another reason? If I take it you're talking about Richard. What was the guy? God damn it, I forget his name. But anyway, the guy that I was talking about earlier, Robert Price, I believe. I don't exactly know exactly why, but they've a lot of them. There was so many people considering him racist. I think so. I think I heard that. Yeah, associated with H.P. Lovecraft. I think that's what you're talking about. Robert Price. Um, somebody said they found your website, Anya. Cool. Awesome.
Cool.
Check out her stuff, her material. Um,
Yeah, feel free to subscribe to my email newsletter.
subscribe
I
to the
send
email
out a
news.
monthly.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yes, Price. I figured that. Yeah, definitely. They've been you haven't noticed? Go check it out. And go, matter of fact, go on Robert's Price's YouTube channel and go to his earliest videos. He himself put my first interview, and it's a black guy. Richard Finley, I believe is his name. And I actually interviewed him. He's on my YouTube channel. Look on my videos or put live because they formatted it differently. You used to just click on videos and all the videos. Now you have to. It looked like when you click on videos, I have only like 4 videos, but you click on live because most of my videos like this one will be under the live thing. So I wish they didn't do that. So you had to click on live
Yeah.
and this video would come up. So I actually interviewed Richard Finn and we talked about that. There's some other interesting things about this guy. He goes back to when they had Black Planet. Some of you guys, she wasn't even born. Anya wasn't even born. Then I think when Black Planet was around, I'm 45 years old, well before Facebook and all these things. But he's interviewed Robert. He was the first. It was the first podcast interview that Robert Price has ever done. So that's why it's so fucking ironic and funny and things. And I can say so many other things, but I'm not gonna do it because I'm trying to network and socialize. I don't want to really do it. If I have to, I will. But anyway, yeah. So about Anya, I wish I was a lot more prepared to interview you. Because of you're not on YouTube and because of Atheist United, I listened to a couple of those episodes. You have up to 5 now, right?
5, yeah.
Right. Um, I think that yeah, it's not so much content, but the content that you have done is beautiful. You're a very articulate, smart person, way more
Thank
smarter and
you.
articulate than I am, and it can ever be. And that's why I believe that you have potential to do your thing. I've been around the space. I've been seeing what's going on. Trust me. You see how much I post. I've really been like all over, and you do have potential. There's another girl, she kind of backed off the pedal, but she came out of nowhere, and she's been doing some things, firing it up. But I think you can do a lot, a lot more, way more. I want you to. I want to see you. I want to see you win. But
Oh,
yeah,
thank
so
you. I've got some stuff cooking. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. And I'm a promote it and try to be a part of that. For sure, definitely. Um, so yeah, that was the thing. I was gonna ask if you had anything, that you were working on. So I guess that was some of the answer right there. Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah.
tell me in
So
detail, but you can. Yeah.
sure. So I'm working on a second season of the Nomadic Humanist this year.
Okay.
I will be back in California sometime in the summer, probably. And
That's
that's
what's up.
probably when I'll record them.
Okay,
So
that's what's
that's
up.
maybe when you can expect them to come out. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. I'm
Okay.
working on I'm writing a lot. So I'm
Right.
hoping to have a book come out eventually.
That's what's up.
A
You know
book of
this.
essays.
My mentality is more like, I could have like linked up with all kinds of people before. You know what I'm saying? Be way popular, more popular than I am now. But I don't. I truly believe like that field of dreams and shit. You build it and they will come. You do your own fucking thing and like, you know, I truly believe whether it's, you know, whether you don't have that many or you have a few loyal followers or whatever. I truly believe that. I believe once you have something that can connect with people and have quality. I mean, of course, you can hire certain people or have some people help you, or collaborate with certain people. But like, I truly believe that. Like, you know, I think I don't know. I think you can do your thing. And I think that people will. I mean, I'm reaching out to you. Other people are reaching out to you. I mean, I know other people see the potential in you because I saw that. I was like, yo, I'm looking at this right now. I'm like, this shit right here. Because I'm telling you, that's why I was like, yo, let me reach out to this person. She seems like she's something. She's on the cusp. So it's something about you with the traveling. You got this thing going on and that, and yeah, and just kind of your personality. And I heard some of your podcasts, and I really like your yeah, just your aura. So yeah. Um, I don't really have much to say besides I wanted my audience to kind of get to know you. I mean, shit, I didn't hardly know you as much myself, and so I said we were gonna learn together what you were about, and so you, yeah, are advocating humanism and ethical living and morals and values and help me out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much
I'm
got it.
sipping
I
on
mean,
wine
humanist
tonight,
values.
man. Come on, man. I'm sipping on wine tonight. Help me out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Humanist values.
take over.
I'm all about it. I'm huge into basically advocating for downtrodden people who are marginalized. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yo,
Intersectionality is a big thing.
I've been those two words in particular. I've been saying that downtrodden, marginalized. Go ahead. You've been listening to my interviews. Go ahead.
I haven't been listening. No, these are words that I've
I
been.
know. I got you. I
These
got
are
you.
words that are buzzwords for me for sure.
That's
But
what's
yeah, I
up.
mean, it's important, and I see how all this stuff connects, and
Yeah.
it kind of surprises me because when I first got into activism, I really thought that this was all stuff that kind of connected for other people. But
Mm.
then I learned very quickly, it's like, wait a minute. So why are there so many feminists that also aren't anti-racist? And why are there so many, people that are pro
Tell me about it.
pro-life, that are pro-death penalty, and all the other terrible non-supportive ways to move through life. I mean, there's all this hypocrisy and not applying your values in a way that are consistent across issues. And for me, that it just confuses me, and I thought that was something that more people would get. So now seeing that that's not the case, I'm trying to speak up more about that type of thing. And I'm hoping that, you know, as I write these essays, and I just finished reading Bell Hooks, her book
Ooh,
Talking Back, which is really
ooh,
good. And
yeah.
really, the way that it's compiled inspired
Mm,
me. I mean, I was like, why don't
mm.
I write essays? I mean, I put so much pressure on myself to blog, but
That's
I
what's
can
up.
write essays.
Yeah, you can, girl. Yeah, you
So
can, girl.
I'm hoping to address some of that stuff and a lot
Yeah,
of intersectionality issues. So, like, for
yeah.
example, you know, white women in feminism and how they don't
That's
support other women's
there you
rights.
go. Actually, I have not that the lady Bo Chuck. So there's a couple of I got a book sitting right on the shelf right here. White Tears of Brown Scars. I'm looking at it on my shelf. I want to interview this lady and I want to interview this other one that talks about the exactly what you're talking about when it comes to white
Yeah.
feminism. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of these like
Yeah.
these issues that we're just scratching the surface with them. So these
Right,
intersectionality questions aren't, we're like, most of society isn't quite there yet, but
right,
we need
right,
to get there. Like, there
right.
isn't time for this bullshit. I mean, like, the world's on fire. We need to get our shit together. Like,
That's what's up. Yeah,
so that's the
that's what's
way
up.
that I see
Right,
it.
right. No, you got the Martin Luther King thing going on, and you got certain, yeah. That's another subject within itself. You got all these people talking about Martin Luther King, this and that, and and wasn't that it wasn't that way in the past. They didn't really like the guy back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People tend to forget that, and people tend to forget a lot of different things I haven't really touched on so much in my postings about him.
Yeah, I mean,
Him,
MLK, dude
hi
was a socialist. Like,
right,
we
right,
forget about that real easily.
right,
It's like
right,
people definitely didn't like his, like, you know, political views. It wasn't
right,
just his racial,
right.
you know, advocacy. It was also his politics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, when it comes to right to bear arms, that's a whole nother subject. But um, yeah, there was about the memes. I know the go ahead. The cop.
Yeah, you're talking about the Tennessee cops that had the affair,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mhm.
They had
Yeah,
the what?
so
What did you say? They had the what?
the affair,
All right, that's what's
the
up.
sexual affair.
I got you.
So
I'm gonna leave
yeah, I
it.
guess I don't know what all your listeners know about that, but you know, long story short, there was a bunch of cops that slept with each other, and
Yeah.
the woman got turned into a meme. Now, fair, she was the only woman of the group,
Mm,
and we're a misogynist society, so we zero
yeah.
in on the woman who's doing the sexual action. We never focus on the
Yeah.
men. So
Yeah.
that was my issue with, is that, like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of cops, really
Yeah.
not a big fan.
I ain't either.
A lot of the people that were arguing were saying, you know, oh, it really calls into question their judgment that they like had sex with each other on the job. And I was saying, you know,
And
I
my
think it
and
calls
my
into judgment that,
and my oldest daughter is one, and I'm and she knows I'm not a fan of cops too.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, my whole thing is, if you decide to become a cop in the first place, in my opinion, your judgment is a little bit flawed, because
Mm,
at least in the US,
right.
there's a huge problematic situation of power,
Mm,
huge problematic power dynamic between police and civilians. So
mm,
if you opt in that system of power,
mm,
there's something going on with your judgment that's not very good. But that's
right.
a separate thing. Like,
Right.
my whole thing was, yeah, I have no problem with what she did, but don't do it on the taxpayer's clock. I'd be pissed to all hell if this was my taxpayer money and
Mm,
I found
mm,
out that they were, you know, fucking on the clock in government buildings. That would piss me off. But she's a woman
mm.
before she was a cop, and
Yeah.
after she's done being a cop, I'm pretty sure she'll still identify as a woman. This will follow her around forever. And frankly, she doesn't deserve it. Something's going on with this woman.
Mm.
One of the guys that
Obviously.
slept with her expressed concern for her mental health, said at
Mm.
one point she held an empty gun to her head and pulled the trigger just so she could hear
Damn.
what the sound would be like.
See, I ain't gonna
Something's
lie.
going
Hey, look.
on.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Um, I didn't read all of that. I just looked at the meme train, going on. So
Sure.
I didn't read all the details of the whole situation. which I think I should have.
Well, it's
But
complex.
yeah, definitely. But you reminded me of a subject that I wanted. I want to hear your opinion. What the fuck you think about cancel culture? What's up with cancel culture and that shit nowadays? What's your
You know,
opinion on that? Real talk.
I
What's your
think
opinion on that?
that I think that
Can
cancel
can
culture is, sorry, were you gonna say something else?
can a brother really speak his opinion? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just
I
saying.
mean, so here's what I think about cancel culture. I think that it is a response to a society that has not listened to people that have been asking for change for a very long time. And when people get into a situation of not being heard, not
Yeah,
being listened to, not
yeah.
being acknowledged, they end up doing this type of thing because they have no other recourse. So
Mm,
while I don't think that cancel culture is necessarily a good thing,
mm,
it's, to me, the natural consequence of restricting people from pursuing the changes that they seek,
uh-huh.
blocking those changes and serving as an obstacle. So to me, it's par for the course. I mean, you
Mm,
limit people to the degree, you oppress people to the degree that you oppress them. Cancel culture. And is
yeah.
that not better than just like outright violence? Because like that's an option. That's an option
I got
that
you
people
on.
don't
I
talk
got
about. And like,
mm,
is having your reputation tainted not better than like having violence afflicted upon you? Like we should be having these questions, discussed too. Like there are other severe things that
right,
could result as a pushback from oppression.
right,
When we compare all of these things, cancel culture, it's pretty reasonable in terms of dealing with a consequence. It's not that
right.
bad.
I,
It could be worse.
I got you. I got you. My on Facebook, I don't know if you were with me that long enough. My most controversial posts, and I don't know if you remember me mentioning this ever, were not me so-called or allegedly attacking white folk or talking about Judaism or things like that. It's been when I mentioned something about transgender.
Mention something.
Well,
Okay.
I posted something before. Were you there when you weren't on you were on my Facebook?
I
No,
don't think so. That
no,
doesn't
no,
sound familiar.
no. It not at all. It was I would have known. I'm sure you would
I
have.
probably would have chimed in and said something. Yeah.
Definitely. It was probably I think we probably linked on Facebook probably shortly after that. Shortly after that. At least after my second controversial post, and it was in dealing with transgender when it comes to sports.
Okay.
And so though that was my experience. I only posted I believe twice, and then I end up taking it off because it was just so much I'm serious. I was like in the comments, I was like, damn, it was like shit. And it was a meme. You can call it distasteful, you can call it not, but I had to get people thinking. Sometimes I do that once in a blue moon to see if people are awake, see if people are there. It's not necessarily my opinion, every little thing I post, but I gotta be responsible for what I post, I guess. So, sometimes, like I said, sometimes people do things for shock value, sometimes not just shock value. Some people do it for just to kind of, I mean, I know what I do it sometimes because I post so much. Sometimes I think, okay, they're sleeping, so I want to just kind of throw something out there. Oh, but and in some I believe, in some I haven't researched as much, and some I think people haven't researched as much on. But what is I'm going to get before that. I want to know what is your opinion when it comes to far as as far as when it comes to, because I know you're for human rights and the LGBTQ. I am as well. In fact, we had an incident not too long ago in Norway. I don't know if you remember. I
Oh
posted
yeah.
I posted something about that. Yeah. Anyway, in the past, but a shooting, a killing, or whatever, in a gay pub, not too far from where I stay, like
Mm.
walking, like I can 10-minute walk down the street. And I was actually at the pub, literally like right next to it, you know, and somebody
Wow.
in both. pubs died because it had the flag in the next pub as well, which was so crazy because I remember,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. But anyway, but what is your opinion on that? And this is just random. I wasn't planning on asking you this, but we're going
On
on.
transgender sports or
Like
what specifically?
when it comes to that, when it the topic when it comes to transgender being in sports with other like a transgender that's
Yeah. So
a male transition to a female and she's in like swimming or running or even contact combat fighting with other naturally born women. Yeah. They
yeah.
got they got
So
they
I
got all these
think
terms, cyst and all these other things. I don't know all those terms, but I'm just saying a
cis, yeah, cisgender.
naturally born woman versus, for example, a woman that was a man, naturally born a man, and became a woman, a transgender or whatever like that. What's your opinion on that? Do you believe that it's unfair or not? My opinion remains the same as far as now, but I don't try to talk about it so much. Um, um, about far as I think that yes, transgender should be in sports. But I think that they should have I think sports should be kind of need to have an overhaul of certain things. I think they deserve to be in sports, do whatever the hell, people do whatever the hell they want to do. And but I I believe that it's unfair for a transgender person to go against a woman, but then I got, some backlash from certain people that said, "Oh, the levels of this and this and that, this and that," and then yeah, then you had some people on my side saying this about the science and that. I don't think the science is fully. Oh shit. Very few transgender people play in competitive sports, and even fewer are ranked highly. That's true. That's true. Anyway, see, I'm already transgender.
Yeah.
Fucking shit
So
comes up.
yeah, I'd
Yeah, yeah,
love to unpack this, although I do have to get going
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
soon
yeah, I
here.
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so I think part of the reason why this debate is so challenging is
Yeah,
because we're talking about sports in a binary. I mean, we've only ever had
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
women and men's sports, and that
yeah,
makes
yeah,
it really hard.
yeah.
So one of the things that I think is going to be really difficult, but could really help with this whole debacle is that we reimagine sports and the way that we structure competitions and the way that we qualify people to compete
Yeah,
against one another.
yeah.
Because I think that when we try to categorize this so in such a binary, that's where we get really tripped up. It's because we can't. So we have to rethink these things. And that is a very, very big and difficult conversation, especially when there's
Hey,
money tied up in all of these big
right.
sports.
A real talk. I hear you, and I heard all of that stuff, and I agree with a lot of stuff. But to be real with you, you have all these. Then you have all these different other categories with different levels of this and levels of testosterone and the different this. But really, look at the pool of people. It won't be that many. Once you start to break it up, even you won't have that. You know what I mean? Because in sports, people want to look for the best, and you gotta have a larger pool of people. So some things will just fucking overlap. I mean, I don't know. That's how sports kind of is.
Yeah, I don't
It
know
I don't
how
know.
big of a problem this is going to become because like the commenter said, I mean, we're really not talking about that many people here. There's not a
Yeah,
lot of transgender people in competitive sports that rank really highly. And I
yeah,
mean, there was one, I think, in swimming in this past year that had a
yeah,
lot of controversy
yeah, yeah,
controversy because she won
yeah,
in an Olympic trial,
yeah.
I think. And
Something
yeah,
like
so
that.
that
And then,
was.
but then, yeah, because as a man, they were like way some place, and then yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but that's
And
and that.
I think the more that time goes on, like the more that we're going to have this binary blurred and the more difficult it is going to be categorize people in one category or the other. And I think we just need to like reimagine the way that we do this entirely, and that is just, I mean, that's a big project and it involves a lot of societal change that I don't think we're going to be ready for a long time. So I mean, it's a big
Exactly.
thing, but
Exactly. We'll
it's
be
difficult for a reason. Yeah.
Right. We'll be talking about humans and AIs way more before the race thing. Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's a whole other thing
Right.
too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna end it right now. I appreciate your time. I know I guess I lied to you. I thought we were gonna just have a 30 minutes, 45-minute talk. We went overtime. Please don't be pissed at me.
That's okay.
All right.
I'm pissed. No worries.
That's what's up, man. Me and you almost went nuclear on Facebook. I was like, what? But we got an understanding and stuff. I'm still on your team,
Yeah,
man.
we're cool.
I'm
We're
still
cool.
on your team. We're not gonna agree to every little thing. You're not gonna like everything I post, but just shoot me a little a message. You know what I'm saying? And I might even take it off if something. Let me know. But
Well, that's good
anyway,
to know. Yeah.
yeah, for real, for real. But anyway, yeah. So is anything else you would like to leave here with my followers? I would say go to. Can you give your context? I will put them underneath this video. No matter what, eventually. I will do that. But is there anything like you would like to say to my small little audience that I have over here?
I appreciate them listening in.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Anya Overman.
right,
I'm on Facebook at Anya Overman LLC. And then
right,
if you want to see me like shit post, I'm also on Twitter at
right.
Anya L Overman. So you can find me. I'm pretty easy to find on the internet.
So Google her
Yeah.
straight up. All right. Well, nice talking to you. Appreciate you finally coming in to my channel and spending a
Yeah.
little time with me and stuff like that. I should have been way more prepared, but it's all good. All right.
No worries.
Have a good evening, or afternoon, or whatever, what have you. Yeah. So we'll see
All
more of you,
right.
I'm sure.
I hope so. Yeah.
Definitely. All right.
Talk soon.
All right. Bye bye. I'm about
Bye.